You've replayed the same loop so many times it almost feels natural. Waking to the same doubts, making the same excuses, chasing the same short-term comforts, then wondering why your life never changes. But patterns aren't prison bars, they're signposts. If you've fallen into the same groove, it's because that groove once served you. Tonight, you'll see how every recurring pattern carries within it the precise moment where it can and must be broken. Think of a tree that grows toward light. Year after year, its branches arch in the same direction until one day a fallen log blocks its sunward shot. The tree doesn't stop growing. It senses the obstruction and bends around it, forging a new trajectory. That bend is the tree's pattern break, an act of adaptation that sustains its life. You too are an organism wired to grow. Your repeated behaviors once protected you. Self-doubt kept you cautious. Perfectionism chased safety. Distraction numbed discomfort. But when those protections calcify into barriers, growth demands a conscious break in pattern. First, spot the loop. Whatever you do at 7 p.m., mindless scrolling, anxiety-churning news, second-guessing yourself, mark that moment. Notice how your thoughts gutter to the same worries, how your emotions twist to the same fears. Maybe you binge one more episode when you promised yourself 15 minutes of creation. Maybe you replay last night's conversation in your mind instead of sleeping. That loop is not destiny. It's an unconscious strategy that has outlived its usefulness. Second, identify the trigger. Underneath every pattern sits a click, an internal or external signal that flips the switch. It could be the ding of a notification, the slump into your couch, the first intrusive thought that surfaces when the workday ends. Notice exactly what precedes your drift. The moment you recognize that ping pulls me in, you grasp the hinge on which your routine turns. Third, define your intended break point. Choose a precise moment to interrupt the loop, one you can program into your system. If your pattern kicks in when you cross the threshold of your front door, decide that instead of dropping your bag onto the floor, you'll place it by the bed. If the habit sparks when you finish dinner, vow that instead of switching on the TV, you'll take 1 minute to breathe deeply at the window. If your loop fires when an email notification arrives, promise yourself a single step away from the screen. Stand up, stretch, or write down the first line of tomorrow's task. The break point must be unambiguous and immediate. Fourth, install a new micro-ritual. A pattern break without replacement is a door left open. Temptation seeps back in. So anchor your interruption to a refreshing action that reroutes your energy. After placing the bag by the bed, walk to the kitchen and down a glass of water mindfully. Feel the coolness, the swallow, the simple clarity. After the deep breath at the window, pick up your journal and write one sentence of gratitude. After stepping away from the email, open a blank document and type one word toward your project. These micro-rituals reconnect you to purpose instead of defaulting to habit. Fifth, observe the inflection. When you trigger your break ritual, slow down for a moment. Notice the shift in your body, how your breath steadies, how your mind flickers away from autopilot. Notice the gap between the old pattern and the new action. That inflection point is where transformation ignites. Sink into its novelty. Celebrate that you didn't follow the magnetic pull of repetition. You chose a different path. Sixth, reinforce with accountability. Patterns resist change until you bring external witness. Share your new break point and micro-ritual with a friend or a small group. Ask them to text you at the hour your pattern kicks in. When you receive the prompt, perform your ritual live. Stand in frame if you like, speak your intention aloud. That external cue magnifies your resolve and forges the neural pathway for the new pattern. Seventh, track your deviations. Every evening, note in a simple log whether you executed your micro-ritual. If you missed it, don't shame yourself, record slipped, and ask, what did I need in that moment? Perhaps the break point was too late in your energy cycle, or the new action felt too foreign. Adjust accordingly. Move your break point earlier, choose a simpler ritual, or add a gentle alarm. This iterative tuning refines your pattern break until it locks in. Over the next month, you'll see the groove of your old habit gradually fill in with your chosen micro-ritual. What once felt impossible, stopping mid-scroll, resisting that notification, walking away from comfort, becomes your new normal. The true power lies not in radical overhaul, but in countless tiny reroutes that compound over time. By consciously bending your course at the precise spot where you once spun in circles, you emulate the tree that finds sunlight beyond the fallen log. You prime your mind to sense obstructions and adapt in real time. You reclaim sovereignty over your behavior, turning unconscious loops into deliberate laboratories of change. Tonight, before sleep, lay out your break point and micro-ritual. Write them on a slip of paper and place it where you'll see it at the critical moment. A post-it by the door, a note on your dinner plate, or a phone reminder. Then rest, knowing you've planted a seed of transformation. Tomorrow, when the familiar impulse arrives, you'll be ready. You'll press the knob of choice instead of the button of habit. The pattern was meant to break here. Your next move is proof.